Chapter 1. The Unexpected Rescue. The void between stars is a place of silent dangers and forgotten histories, where ships drift like lost souls, and the weight of loneliness presses heavy against the hull. For me, those endless stretches of cold emptiness had become routine. Another day spent scanning the remnants of forgotten battles and abandoned freighters, hunting for salvage that could pay the bills and keep my little ship running a little longer. Space was indifferent, vast, and uncaring, but it was also a place where fortunes could be found and destinies rewritten. I was a salvage pilot, a scavenger scraping the edges of civilization, and that day started no differently than any other. Until the beacon appeared. It was faint at first, a tiny blip, almost swallowed by the cosmic noise that filled the sensors. Then, unmistakably, a distress signal pulsing with an alien cadence, a sequence of rhythmic pulses that caught my attention like a beacon in the dark. The signal wasn't registered in any database. Its source was unfamiliar, a mystery beckoning from the edge of an unstable asteroid belt known for swallowing ships whole. Without hesitation, I altered course, chasing the desperate call with the urgency born of countless lost chances and the hope that this time might be different. When I emerged from the shadow of the asteroid field, the sight that greeted me was breathtaking and alarming in equal measure. The ship was a vision of sleek alien design, twin hulls connected by a lattice of shimmering energy conduits, its silhouette elegant and otherworldly against the backdrop of drifting rock and distant stars. But elegance could not mask the damage. The hull was scarred by deep gouges and scorch marks, some panels hanging loose as if barely clinging to survival. The engines were dark, the ship adrift and vulnerable. Two life signs flickered faintly aboard, distinct, synchronized, a twin presence struggling against fate. I docked cautiously, every sense alert. The airlock hissed open to reveal an interior that defied human architecture, a living space sculpted with fluid lines and organic textures, walls that seemed to breathe with a soft phosphorescence, and control panels that shimmered with colors beyond the spectrum of any human technology. The atmosphere was thin but breathable, tinged with the scent of unknown minerals and a subtle, sweet undertone that suggested some form of bioengineering woven into the ship's very fabric. The silence was profound, broken only by the faint mechanical groans of a dying ship. The two beings I found were like reflections of each other, twin humanoids with luminous skin that shifted through shades of violet and silver, eyes large and iridescent, capturing the light like liquid crystal. Their forms were slender but strong, their movements graceful even in weakness. They spoke not in words but in harmonized thought, a silent dialogue that pulsed between them, and then reached out to me through an empathic connection that was both disarming and profound. They were survivors, stranded and alone, with a story that spanned the stars and touched on secrets that could change everything. With the ship failing fast and danger looming from the asteroid belt's unstable chaos, I had no choice but to act. Working alongside the twins, whose knowledge of their ship's systems was intuitive and almost symbiotic, we began the arduous process of repair. Their telepathic guidance complemented my mechanical skill, forming an alliance born not of language, but of necessity and trust. I learned that the ship was more than a vessel. It was a living entity, bonded to its occupants in ways that transcended human understanding, powered by a fusion of bioenergy and quantum technology that hummed with life itself. Days blurred as we worked against time and failing systems. The twins revealed glimpses of their culture, civilization spread across twin stars, where harmony and duality were not mere philosophy, but the foundation of existence. Their world had been torn apart by war, their people scattered like seeds on the cosmic wind. Their ship was a refuge and a beacon, carrying the last hopes of a dying race. I felt the weight of their story settle on me like a mantle, a responsibility that went beyond salvage and profit. I was no longer just a mechanic. I was a guardian of their legacy. As the engines sparked back to life, the ship stirred with renewed vitality, its corridors lighting with the soft glow of awakening systems. The twins smiled, an expression both alien and profoundly human as they prepared to leave the asteroid belt behind. But before we could set course, they made me an offer that shattered the fragile equilibrium of our alliance. A place aboard their ship, not as a passenger, but as a partner. They saw in me not just a savior, but a captain, a companion in the uncertain journey that lay ahead. The choice was staggering, a leap into the unknown that promised danger, wonder, and a destiny entwined with stars far beyond my reach. As the silent twin, my new home, pulled away from the asteroid field and into the vastness of space, I realized that my life had irrevocably changed. The universe stretched before me, vast and enigmatic, and for the first time, I was not alone in its mysteries. The alien twins, my unexpected allies, and I were bound together by fate and the shared quest to navigate the cosmic seas. The adventure had only just begun. As the repairs progressed, I found myself sinking deeper into the mysteries of the ship and its enigmatic occupants. The twins named Sela and Leor moved through their vessel with a grace that was both mesmerizing and foreign. Their thoughts seemed linked in a silent symphony, an unspoken bond that shaped their every action and decision. Yet despite their connection, each had a distinct presence. Sela's eyes shone with a fierce intelligence and cautious curiosity, while Leor carried an aura of calm wisdom, his expressions often tinged with melancholy. They spoke to me slowly at first, their voices melodic and layered with subtle inflections that hinted at centuries of tradition and sorrow. Their history unfolded in fragments, shared through a mixture of telepathic impressions and halting verbal translations. They came from a world torn by conflict, a twin planet system where their species thrived in perfect duality, balanced between light and shadow, creation and destruction. But a devastating war had shattered that balance, scattering survivors across the galaxy. Their ship was one of the last relics of their home, a vessel designed not just for travel, but as a sanctuary for their culture and knowledge. The distress signal I had picked up was a final plea for help as their ship's engines failed near the deadly asteroid field. Working side by side, I combined my practical skills with their intuitive understanding of the ship's alien technology. The fusion of mechanical know-how and biotechnological marvels challenged everything I thought I knew about engineering. Their ship responded almost like a living organism, its systems fluctuating with moods and needs rather than simple on-off states. I learned to listen to the subtle vibrations beneath the panels, to the shifts in light and color that hinted at deeper processes. It was exhausting and exhilarating, a dance between human ingenuity and alien symbiosis. The most challenging part was the engine core, a crystalline structure suspended within a magnetic field, humming with raw energy that felt both alive and volatile. One wrong move could trigger a catastrophic overload. Sela and Leor guided me carefully, their telepathic warnings and reassurances weaving through my mind, steadying my hands when doubt and fatigue threatened to take over. When at last the core pulsed with renewed life, flooding the ship with a gentle glow and a surge of power, it was a moment of triumph and profound connection. The ship was waking, and so was something within me. In those days, isolated from the rest of the universe, a bond formed between us, fragile yet unbreakable. The twins shared stories of their people's art, music, and philosophy, of their reverence for balance and harmony, and the tragedy that had fractured their world. Their presence was a balm against the loneliness of space, and their offer to join them aboard their vessel was both daunting and irresistible. They spoke of journeys beyond the known stars, of discoveries that could heal or destroy, and of a future shaped by choices yet to be made. I realized then that my life had changed irrevocably. No longer was I a mere salvage pilot, scraping by on the edge of civilization. I was now part of something vast and ancient, a partner in a voyage that stretched across galaxies and generations. The twins' offer was more than a chance for adventure, it was a call to destiny, a path that would test my courage, challenge my beliefs, and lead me into the very heart of the universe's mysteries. As the repaired ship hummed beneath my feet, ready to sail into the infinite, I felt the weight of that choice and the exhilaration of possibility. The stars beckoned, and with Sela and Leor by my side, I was no longer alone in the cosmos. Together, we would face whatever awaited in the vast, uncharted darkness. The adventure was just beginning. Chapter 2. Into the depths of the unknown. The moment the ship stirred back to life, I knew that nothing would ever be the same. The hum of the engines, soft and resonant, was a song of awakening not just for the vessel itself, but for the journey that lay ahead, one that would take us far beyond the familiar stars and into the uncharted depths of the cosmos. With Sela and Lior by my side, the alien twins whose presence seemed woven into the very fabric of the ship, I found myself stepping into a role I had never imagined. Not just a mechanic or a salvager, but a captain of a living legend, a guardian of secrets ancient and profound. The ship's systems gradually came online, revealing layers of technology and history that defied human understanding. The corridors shimmered with bioluminescent light, casting gentle hues that shifted with the rhythm of the ship's pulse. Everywhere I looked, there was evidence of a civilization that had fused biology with technology in ways that transcended logic and science as I knew it. Walls breathed with subtle movements. Consoles responded not just to touch, but to thought. And the very air vibrated with energy that was alive, aware, and intimately connected to the twins who moved through the ship with an effortless grace. They spoke little of their culture, but the quiet depth of their bond and their reverence for their vessel spoke volumes. This ship was their home, their protector, and their legacy. Our first course was set toward a distant star system known only by its ancient designation Zelnir, a place steeped in legend and whispered about in the archives Sela had accessed. It was said to harbor ruins of a once mighty civilization, a repository of knowledge that might hold answers to the twins' past and the fate of their scattered people. The journey itself was a test of our growing partnership. I was learning to pilot the ship not just through space, but through the currents of trust and understanding that bound us. The twins communicated in synchronized thoughts, their emotions flowing in waves that I could feel as much as hear. Echo, the ship's AI, wove seamlessly between their minds and mine, a bridge of code and consciousness that made the impossible feel tangible. Days passed in a blur of navigation, system checks, and quiet moments of reflection. The vast emptiness of space was both awe-inspiring and daunting, a canvas of infinite possibilities that stretched beyond comprehension. I found myself pondering the nature of the universe, the fragile threads that connected species, cultures, and destinies across light years and centuries. The twins shared stories not in words, but in feelings and images, a mosaic of their homeworlds, their joys and sorrows, and the cataclysm that had scattered them to the stars. I felt the weight of their loss and the fierce determination that drove them to reclaim what had been broken. Approaching Zalnir, the ship's sensors detected an energy signature unlike anything in the galactic registry. It was ancient and powerful, resonating with frequencies that seemed to echo through time itself. The star system was shrouded in a nebula of iridescent gases, swirling in colors that defied earthly palettes, shimmering violets, fiery oranges, and deep blues that danced across the void. The Silent Twin, as the ship had come to be called, glided through the nebula with a grace that was almost sentient, its systems interfacing with the cosmic phenomena as if it belonged there. The sense of entering a sacred space was overwhelming. Landing on the primary planet was a journey through alien beauty and silent mystery. The surface was a tapestry of crystalline forests that caught the nebula's light and fractured it into dazzling rainbows. Towering spires of stone and metal rose from the ground, remnants of a civilization that had mastered both art and science in equal measure. But the beauty was marred by the scars of time and neglect, collapsed structures, faded murals, and machines long silent. Walking through these ruins, I felt the presence of those who had built this world, their hopes and fears etched into the very stones. The twins moved with reverence, their hands trailing over ancient glyphs and carvings, their minds opening to echoes of a history that was both personal and universal. Within the heart of the ruins, we discovered the archive, a vast chamber filled with crystalline data repositories that pulsed with latent energy. The twins and I worked together to unlock its secrets, drawing on the ship's AI and their intuitive understanding of their lost language. What we uncovered was staggering. Records of star systems interconnected by alliances and betrayals, technologies that bent the very fabric of space, and prophecies that spoke of a convergence, a moment when the scattered peoples would reunite or be lost forever. The archive was more than history, it was a guide and a warning. But as we delved deeper, the shadows lengthened. The Syndicate, the mercenary faction we had already encountered, was closer than ever, their ships creeping through the nebula, waiting for their moment to strike. Our presence had been detected, and the race to unlock the archive's secrets became a desperate scramble. Each step deeper into the ruins was fraught with tension, every signal a potential ambush. The Silent Twins' defenses flared as automated turrets and drones, relics of the ancient civilization, came to life, turning the ruins into a battleground of light and shadow. Amidst the turmoil, the bond between Sela, Lior, and me strengthened. We were no longer just allies brought together by chance. We had become a family forged in the crucible of conflict and discovery. Their trust was a balm to my fears, and my determination a shield for their hopes. Together, we navigated the labyrinth of ruins, piecing together the fragments of a story that was both cosmic and deeply personal. The climax of our search brought us to the core chamber, a cathedral of light where the essence of the lost civilization pulsed in crystalline form. Here lay the true heart of the archive and the key to the Twins' legacy, a device capable of restoring balance or unleashing devastation. As I reached out to activate it, the Syndicate's forces descended in a storm of fire and steel, intent on seizing the power for themselves. The battle was fierce and unrelenting. The Silent Twin moved with deadly precision, its systems and our resolve tested to the limit. Each maneuver was a dance of survival and sacrifice, every decision a razor's edge between triumph and annihilation. The twins fought not just for their past, but for the future of all who called the stars home, their strength and unity inspiring a courage I hadn't known I possessed. In the end, it was our bond, the fusion of human ingenuity, alien wisdom, and ancient technology that tipped the scales. The Syndicate was repelled, their dark designs shattered by the light of hope and the unbreakable spirit of three unlikely captains. As the dust settled and the core chamber's light bathed us in its ethereal glow, I understood that our journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, its mysteries infinite, but together, we had become a force of renewal and resistance. The Silent Twin hummed with new life, ready to sail into the unknown, carrying a legacy of hope and the promise of discovery. The twins, their history, and I were bound by fate, destiny, and the unyielding desire to protect what was precious. And as the stars stretched endlessly before us, I knew that no matter what challenges awaited, we would face them together as captains, as guardians, and as the keepers of a promise written in the light of distant suns. Chapter 3: The Web of Shadows. The Silent Twin had become more than a ship. It was a living testament to the convergence of past, present, and future, a vessel in not only carrying ancient technology, but the hopes and fears of three intertwined souls. As we navigated away from the radiant glow of Calidris and into the darker reaches of uncharted space, the atmosphere aboard shifted. The beauty and wonder of discovery gave way to a creeping tension, a sense that the universe was not just a place of light, but of shadows lurking just beyond perception. The twins, Sela and Lior, and I were caught in a cosmic web, threads stretching across star systems, binding us to forces far more complex and dangerous than we had imagined. The ship's AI, Echo, pulsed with a heightened awareness, its voice layered with urgency and subtle apprehension. Our sensors detected interference distortions in the quantum communication channels, encrypted signals cloaked in the void, and a growing presence that felt like a predator stalking its prey through the infinite silence. The Syndicate was not finished. Their ambitions had only deepened, their reach expanding into corners of the galaxy where laws were weak and shadows held sway. Every transmission, every sensor ping, was a reminder that we were being hunted not just for the power we carried, but for the legacy we embodied. The path ahead led us to the Viral Cluster, a chaotic system of unstable stars and fractured planets, home to hidden enclaves and ancient ruins lost to time. The cluster was a crucible of conflict and commerce, where smugglers, mercenaries, and exiles mingled in a precarious balance. It was here that we hoped to find allies, those who understood the stakes and were willing to stand against the Syndicate's encroaching darkness. The journey to Viral was perilous, requiring us to thread the Silent Twin through asteroid fields scarred by forgotten wars and nebulae swirling with ion storms that threatened to tear the ship apart. The navigation was a dance of precision and instinct, the ship responding not just to controls, but to our collective will. Sela and Lior's synchronized thoughts intertwined with Echo's calculations and my own growing confidence, creating a harmony that guided us through the chaos. The ship's hull groaned under the strain of gravitational anomalies, and energy shields flared in response to cosmic debris, but we pressed forward driven by purpose and the fragile hope that salvation might be found amidst the cluster's ruins. Upon arrival, the viral cluster revealed its dual nature, a stunning vista of beauty and danger intertwined. Crystal-clear oceans glittered beneath twin suns on some planets, while others lay cloaked in toxic atmospheres and jagged wastelands. Ancient monoliths and shattered starports dotted the landscapes, remnants of civilizations that had risen and fallen, their histories buried beneath layers of dust and silence. Among these ruins, we sought the Council of Shadows, a secretive alliance rumored to oppose the Syndicate and protect knowledge long thought lost. Making contact was a delicate affair. The Council operated in shadows and whispers, communicating through encrypted channels and clandestine envoys. Our arrival was met with suspicion and cautious intrigue. Their leaders, a coalition of species bound by necessity rather than trust, viewed us as both potential allies and unpredictable variables. I found myself navigating not only the complexities of interstellar diplomacy, but the intricate dance of politics where every word and gesture carried weight. Sela and Lior's presence, their unique bond and cultural depth, added layers of nuance to negotiations, bridging divides with empathy and wisdom. Amidst these tense discussions, I was introduced to Aaron, a seasoned operative whose knowledge of the Syndicate's operations was invaluable. Aaron's demeanor was sharp and pragmatic, hardened by years of conflict, yet tempered by an unyielding commitment to justice. Together, we began weaving a fragile coalition, piecing together intelligence and resources to mount a resistance. The Silent Twins' capabilities became a symbol of hope, a beacon signaling that even in the darkest corners, light could be kindled. Yet, the shadows that clung to the cluster were deeper and more tangled than we anticipated. The Syndicate's spies and saboteurs infiltrated our ranks, sowing discord and mistrust. Ambushes in the void tested our vigilance, and cyber attacks threatened to breach the Silent Twins' defenses. Every victory was hard-won, every loss a reminder of the relentless stakes. The twins and I grew ever closer, bound by shared peril and the unspoken knowledge that our survival depended on unity and resilience. In quieter moments aboard the ship, I grappled with the burden of command. The captaincy was not merely about strategy or firepower, it was about bearing the hopes of those who could not fight, making choices that balanced morality and necessity, and standing firm in the face of overwhelming odds. The twins, with their profound connection and steady presence, were anchors amid the storm, their strength a wellspring of courage that buoyed my own faltering resolve. Together with Echo, we formed a triad of mind, spirit, and technology, a new kind of leadership forged in the crucible of the cosmos. The turning point came with a revelation hidden deep within the Council's archives, a map to the Nexus of Realms, a mythical convergence point where dimensions overlapped and untold power could be harnessed. The Syndicate sought the Nexus for dominion. We sought it for salvation. The quest for the Nexus became our purpose, a beacon that drew allies and enemies alike into a spiral of conflict and hope. As we prepared to depart, the Silent Twin was transformed, upgraded with new technologies, and armed with weapons gleaned from the Council's vaults, ready to face the challenges ahead. As the ship slipped away from the viral cluster, stars stretching endlessly before us, I felt the weight of destiny settle deeper within my soul. The path was fraught with peril, the stakes higher than ever, but we were no longer alone. We were a force born of trust and trial, carrying the light of countless worlds into the shadows. The web of shadows that threatened the galaxy was vast and tangled, but with every pulse of the Silent Twins' heart, we wove strands of resistance and hope. The journey continued, endless and unforgiving, but bound by the unyielding spirit of those who dared to challenge the darkness. For in the vast, star-strewn sea, even the smallest light could blaze a path through eternity. Chapter 4. The Choice Beyond Stars. The The calm that settled over the silent twin as we left the viral cluster behind was fragile, like the quiet breath held between storms. The nebulae we passed shimmered with ancient light, casting kaleidoscopic hues across the ship's sleek surfaces, but beneath the beauty lurked a weight, a reminder that our victories had not ended the shadows that stretched across the galaxy. The nexus of realms beckoned ahead, a convergence point whispered about in legends and cloaked in mysteries older than the stars themselves. It was both a destination and a crucible, where the fate of countless worlds would be decided, and the choices made could echo through time like ripples across an endless sea. Echo's voice, ever steady yet tinged with solemnity, filled the bridge as I sat at the helm. The AI's vast intellect wove patterns from data streams and star charts, predicting celestial shifts and hidden dangers with a precision that was almost prophetic. Captain, the nexus lies within a pocket of spatial anomalies. Entry will require precise synchronization with dimensional fluxes. Errors may result in dislocation or worse. The weight of those words pressed against me. The knowledge that this journey was no longer just physical, but metaphysical, testing not only our skills, but the very limits of existence. Sela and Lior moved beside me, their presence a quiet anchor in the swirling chaos of quantum fields and cosmic winds. Their synchronized thoughts conveyed a mixture of hope and reverence, tempered by the shadows of loss and the burden of legacy. They spoke of the Nexus as a source of renewal, a place where the fractured threads of reality might be woven anew. But they also warned of the dangers, entities beyond comprehension, guardians of the realms whose allegiance was unknown and whose power was immense. The twins' voices, intertwined and melodic, carried the weight of ancient wisdom and the urgency of survival. As the silent twin approached the threshold of the Nexus, the ship's systems adjusted to the unpredictable forces at play. Time and space twisted in dizzying spirals, stars bending and refracting like shards of glass in a cosmic kaleidoscope. The ship groaned with effort, engines pulsing in harmony with the fluxes, guided by a blend of technology and intuition that was as much art as science. I felt the resonance within me, a deep connection to the silent twin and the cosmic dance unfolding around us. The boundaries between pilot, ship, and universe blurred until they became one singular force pushing toward an uncertain horizon. The entry into the Nexus was like passing through a veil between worlds. The sensation was disorienting and sublime, a cascade of sensations flooding my senses as realities layered and intertwined. Within the heart of the Nexus, we found a realm where the fabric of existence shimmered with infinite possibilities. Floating islands of light and shadow drifted in a sea of stars. Ancient architectures of crystalline light rose like monuments to forgotten gods, and pathways of pure energy wove through the void. Time was fluid here, moments stretching and folding, memories bleeding into futures yet to be born. Navigating this realm required more than piloting skill. It demanded empathy, courage, and a willingness to confront the deepest truths of self and universe. Echo interfaced with the Nexus's energy flows, unraveling cryptic signals and guiding us toward the core, the source of its power and the nexus of countless destinies. The twins shared visions, fragments of their civilization's history intertwined with the fate of the Nexus, the sacrifices made to protect its secrets, and the hope that one day, balance might be restored. But we were not alone. Guardians emerged from the shifting mists, beings of light and shadow, neither fully corporeal nor entirely spirit. They questioned our presence with voices that resonated in thought rather than sound, probing our intentions and hearts. The silent twins' legacy was recognized, but so too was the weight of responsibility it carried. We were tested not with weapons, but with trials of wisdom, compassion, and resolve. Each challenge peeled back layers of fear and doubt, forging us anew as custodians of a fragile peace. The final chamber revealed the core Nexus itself, a pulsating orb of energy and light, suspended within a lattice of crystalline structures that shimmered with the essence of creation. As I reached out, the orb responded, flooding me with visions of galaxies born and dying, of civilizations rising from ashes, and of the eternal dance between chaos and order. The power to shape worlds and destinies lay within grasp, tempered by the knowledge that such power could just as easily unravel existence. Suddenly, the serenity shattered. The Syndicate's forces, relentless and cunning, breached the Nexus's outer defenses. Dark warships erupted from folds in space, their weapons blazing with destructive intent. The battle that followed was a tempest beyond imagining. Light clashed with shadow, order with chaos, and the silent twin moved with fury and grace, a beacon of resistance amid the storm. The twins and I fought not only for survival, but for the promise of a future where hope might prevail. The conflict stretched across realms and realities, a clash of wills that tested every ounce of strength and spirit. The silent twin systems strained against overwhelming force, but our resolve burned brighter than any star. Echo coordinated shields and weapons, weaving strategies from the chaos. The twins combined will channeled energy that intertwined with the ship, creating shields of light and bursts of power that turned the tide. Our unity was our greatest weapon. When the last of the Syndicate's fleet fell back into the void, silence reclaimed the Nexus. Exhausted yet unbroken, I stood beside Sela and Leor, the orb of the core Nexus glowing softly between us. We had protected a legacy older than memory and opened a path to renewal and peace. But the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, its shadows long, and the promise of dawn required guardianship, sacrifice, and the courage to face the unknown. As the silent twin prepared to depart, carrying the light of the Nexus and the hope of countless worlds, I understood the profound truth of command. It was not the wielding of power, but the stewardship of hope. With the twins by my side and Echo guiding us, we would sail onward into the uncharted, the infinite, and the eternal. The stars awaited, vast and unending, and so too did our destiny. The stillness after the battle was almost unbearable, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next moment, the next breath, the next choice. The silent twin floated in the cosmic sea, its hull scarred but unyielding, a monument to the strength of three unlikely allies bound by fate and fire. The twins, Sela and Leor, stood quietly beside me on the bridge, their eyes reflecting the distant stars like twin galaxies, each shimmering with hope and sorrow, courage and uncertainty. Echo's voice softened, the steady pulse of the AI now an almost soothing presence in the vastness of space. We had faced darkness and emerged battered but unbroken, but the true weight of what lay ahead was beginning to settle deep within me. The core Nexus, still glowing softly in the ship's containment chamber, was more than a source of power. It was a living legacy, a beacon of renewal and rebirth that could either heal the fractured galaxy or shatter it into irreparable fragments. It had become clear that the Syndicate's relentless pursuit was just one thread in a vast tapestry of conflict, ancient rivalries, and cosmic stakes that extended far beyond our understanding. The silence gave way to reflection as we prepared for the next step. The twins shared fragments of their heritage, tales of a civilization that had transcended the physical, merging mind and matter to become custodians of knowledge and peace. They spoke of a prophecy, the coming of three guardians who would wield the Nexus's light to restore balance or witness the end of hope itself. Their voices, harmonized and resonant, filled the chamber with an ethereal solemnity. I was no longer a mere mechanic or a salvager. I was part of something vast and eternal, a living link in a chain forged across stars and epochs. The ship's sensors detected a faint signal, a ripple in the void that hinted at others seeking the Nexus's power, not just the Syndicate, but shadowy forces older than memory, entities whose motives were inscrutable and whose power was terrifying. Echo's analysis suggested that these forces moved through dimensions and realities, their reach extending beyond conventional space. The challenge was no longer merely physical but metaphysical, a battle for the soul of existence itself. In the days that followed, we charted a course toward the astral veil, a region of space where the veil between realities thinned and the true nature of the Nexus could be unlocked. The journey was arduous, fraught with cosmic storms and temporal distortions that tested the silent twins' resilience and our resolve. Navigating through shifting fields of energy and light, the ship responded to my commands as if sensing the urgency and gravity of our mission. The bond between the twins, Echo, and me deepened into a fusion of minds and wills, a harmony that transcended the sum of its parts. Amid the endless stars, I found moments of profound solitude and contemplation. The vastness of space was humbling, a reminder of how small and fragile we were in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. Yet within that fragility lay a spark of immense strength, the will to endure, to hope, and to forge meaning amidst chaos. I pondered the choices ahead, the sacrifices necessary, and the legacy we were destined to create or destroy. As we approached the heart of the astral veil, the ship's instruments began to resonate with the Nexus's energy, guiding us toward a gateway that shimmered with prismatic light, a portal between worlds and realities. The chamber beyond the gateway was a cathedral of cosmic light, a place where time and space folded upon themselves, revealing glimpses of past, present, and futures yet to unfold. The core nexus pulsed at the center, its light weaving through crystalline spires that seemed to hum with the music of creation. But the tranquility was shattered by an assault unlike any before. The shadowy forces had arrived, their ships emerging from folds in space like predators sensing prey. The ensuing battle was a maelstrom of light and dark, of cosmic energies clashing in torrents of raw power. The silent twin moved with breathtaking grace and fury, its weapons, systems, and shields pushed to the edge of collapse. Sela and Lior, joined with Echo and me, became a singular force, mind, body, and machine fused in desperate defiance. The clash was brutal and unrelenting. Every maneuver, every decision was a balance between survival and sacrifice. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and I felt the immense burden of command weighing on my shoulders like a star collapsing under its own gravity. Yet within that burden burned a fierce determination to protect, to endure, and to shine as a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. As the battle reached its zenith, I reached out to the core nexus. Its light enveloped me, flooding my mind with visions of galaxies in harmony, of civilizations united by peace and understanding, and of a future where the scars of war could heal. The power to shape reality was overwhelming, but tempered by the wisdom of those who had come before. I understood then that true strength lay not in domination but in balance, compassion, and the courage to choose hope over despair. With renewed resolve, the silent twin unleashed a surge of energy that shattered the Shadow Fleet's assault, sending ripples through the fabric of space and time. The enemies were driven back, their dark designs thwarted, but the victory was bittersweet. The ship bore deep wounds, systems flickering on the edge of failure, and the toll on our spirits was profound. Yet amidst the ruins of conflict, a fragile light dawned, a promise of renewal and the unyielding spirit of those who dare to dream. In the aftermath, as silence reclaimed the void, I stood beside Sela and Lior on the bridge, gazing out at the endless stars. The journey ahead was uncertain and fraught with peril, but it was also filled with infinite possibility. The silent twin was no longer just a ship. It was a legacy carried on the wings of hope and sacrifice. Together, we would navigate the vastness, protect the fragile peace, and forge a future where light could flourish amidst the shadows. And so, beneath the eternal gaze of the cosmos, our voyage continued, bound by destiny, driven by hope, and illuminated by the enduring promise that even in the darkest night, a single light can guide the way home.